You had my attention, but now you have my. Not seen have you not seen Django Unchained? Come on, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Um, I love that movie. I've seen it more than once.
Wasn't
That
isn't that a line from Django Unchained? You
it's.
had my attention, but now you have my. And he pulls a cigarette out as a curiosity. I don't know if he says it
I
like
know that
that
he
though.
has a thing about this brain that my daddy had. That whole
Yeah,
thing.
I don't. I don't know. Anyway, so you're in a co-working space, and you just took you just took like a little like felt tip marker and wrote ORM on the board behind you.
I was so excited because they had three colors. My
Yeah.
logo is black, white, and red. Like
Okay.
the R is like missing a thing and it's the background. Perfect. Right? So I'm like, oh, let me use this red marker. And I was like, well, I'll go funky. There's a green. I'll make it ORM green. It'll be different.
Yeah.
Black works.
Why are
Um,
you in a co-working space, Matt? What are you doing?
because when COVID-19 says stay at home, I say be around more people. Um, so um, I have three children. I attempted to work from home for one whole day and it did not work. I have a friend who has an office in one of these WeWork places. And I know there's a lot of open space. And, I said, hey, man, uh, can I meet you there? And, I'll do a thing and I'm sure I can reserve a conference room to do one of these calls. And he's like, I'm not going, have my key. So here's the beauty of this is that there's three different floors. The coffee and the other stuff, sort of the main area is floor 10. By the way, fucking free coffee, right? When this thing's over and these people are used to seeing my face, I'm just going to come every day, I think. And if I, wait for someone, if you don't have the key, just wait for some. Oh, I forgot my key. Just go in. This is going to be my spot, I think.
You're ridiculous, Matt. You're ridiculous.
These are trying times, Armen.
Clearly, clearly,
So
it's so trying that you're trying to stow away into a WeWork to just get free coffee.
it's honestly to get away from my kids. I would go to Starbucks, but they've removed the seating.
Yeah, yeah.
But I do believe in stimulating the economy. So look, I went to Dunks this morning, right?
Congratulations. I'm
Uh,
proud of you.
so it's not just about being a cheap fucker. I'm trying to keep my local guy open. Dunkin' is my local coffee. It's owned by a franchise owner. So they're a big company, but I'm trying to keep him personally, the Indian couple that owns my local. You are yawning 5 minutes in. Bad start.
I
Okay.
haven't I
Okay.
haven't had that much coffee today. You're the one
Okay.
who's had so much coffee.
Okay. Off to a bad start. I know that's what that's from.
What? Off to a bad start?
Yeah.
I don't recognize it, or I don't remember it.
Oh man. It's Tenacious D.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that off to a bad start.
Right.
Warmer, better.
Right. Exactly.
You look very tan, Matt.
I went for a long run on no, it wasn't. How did I get this tan? Was it my long run on Saturday? Yeah, it was my long run on Saturday. Gave me a tan. So that brings me right to my first question. With Arm & Hammer, some say the Matt B. Davis of CrossFit.
Some do say that. I've
Right?
heard that exactly one time,
Was it by me? Did I say it?
just right now from you.
And I thought my industry's been hit pretty hard, right? But there's an awful lot of, hey guys, the trail doesn't have the disease. Go out and run by yourself. Perfect, right? A lot of that going on. Not in your world, my friend, where it's about touching things, picking up equipment that's been touched by a lot of people, and sweating and gathering together to do it. Let's talk about CrossFit and this horrible thing that's happened to you.
Yeah, man. It has affected a lot of people. Um, Honestly, the worst part of it is that my Instagram feed is now full of people offering home workouts.
Oh
I'm
my God.
sick of it. I'm
Can,
already over it.
can we talk about that?
I just don't want to see any more home workouts being available. I'll tell you, let me tell you a secret. Let me tell you a secret. Matt, don't tell anybody, okay? Don't tell anybody. But it's never been about lacking workouts.
That is now the title of this episode. Anytime I open my Instagram, there are 10 people going live, which not everybody's good at going live. And it's like, oh, good. I'm looking at you breathing heavy and the floor because it's a bad angle and you're sweating. I'm so glad I brought you on to have this.
Yeah. There's
And you've got
yeah,
four
listen,
viewers.
there's only a handful of people who I would trust to give me any interesting workouts at a time like this, and they are already doing so, and they have been for a long ass time. So like the new sort of like, hey, check it out, influencers. You're working in a garage. I'm programming three blah blah blah. Like, all right, man, we get it. We get it. I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on people. They're just trying to help. They're just trying to help the situation. But in reality, it's kind of necessary because you're right, man. There's a big difference between the type of activity that CrossFit is and the type of activity that obstacle course racing is. So,
Well, listen, man. So first of all, I am on the rare side of obstacle racer. Most obstacle racers are like people that, or many are people that do spend time in gyms. Many people have built their own apparatus or have home gyms, but certainly it's not a blanket statement. But it's definitely, you guys, the box is certainly more of a thing than just my sport in general. I will say I have a wife who's a bodybuilder. Okay. So she has very specific workouts that are not producible at home without certain equipment. So we're about to drop some money because we've got a few hand weights, but she's got to get a fucking bar, man. Like that's just the name of the game. And maybe that's a de rigueur for you wacky CrossFit types, but we've never had a fucking need for, we don't have a gym. We live in the city. We don't have a fucking gym. We don't have a garage. And they fucking closed down even the lamest gym, the Y closed, and which is where she goes. I mean, I assume, listen, if it were me, if I was my wife, I'm sure there's some rogue fucking gym owner out there that's like, fuck it, come on in, like who's not run by a corporation. I don't know that guy, and I would find that guy. But
it
yeah,
could be your CrossFit affiliate because there's been a lot of don't get me wrong, man. Don't get me wrong. There have been a lot of different responses to this whole coronavirus thing for a bunch of different places, and CrossFit HQ is not a corporate overlord. Their response to it was basically, we trust our affiliates to make the right decision. Like, they know better than we do. We're not going to make a call to them top down. So a lot of affiliates, there's been a bunch of different ways that affiliates are responding to this. Some affiliates are just shutting their doors for a couple weeks and providing programming, and some affiliates are loaning out their equipment. So they'll get a list of people together and say, all right, we can lend you a barbell and some plates, we can lend you a set of dumbbells, we can lend you kettlebells, and just keeping track of it. They're like, hang on to this for the next couple weeks, and one will either rotate around, or you can bring it back after a month. And so some gyms or some gyms, like the gym that Katie and I are members of, like we're not going. So I've been traveling a lot, so I am keeping to myself for the next few weeks. But the gym that Katie and I go to, which is right down the street, like they limit their class size, they limit their hours, and they essentially create like a one person, one set of equipment set of rules. So you just like come in, you have your own equipment, you're the only one that uses it. They clean it up after every class. There's only a handful of people, like maybe 8 or 9 people in the gym at any point in time.
right. So you and I can't work in together.
No, there would be no working in together. However, you know where you can work in together? My garage gym. So my garage gym is basically a CrossFit affiliate. It has like everything you'd need to
Right.
work out. And my wife and I have been working out there. We have a friend who's staying with us as well. The three of us have been doing workouts there for the past few days, and I mean it's been good.
Yeah. So for those not gym lingo friendly, which I wasn't till my gorgeous, amazing wife. I never say that, by the way. It's always lame when people say that. My hot wife. I don't know why I said that. Is like you and I both need to get our reps done, but not at the exact same time. So while you're doing your whatever and I'm doing my whatever, and then we swap, and I go, hey, can I work in with you? It's a thing, even if we don't know each other, right? We're not working,
Yeah.
we're working in. So I
You
understand
know
the
what? I refuse to work in with people I don't know. I will never ever go to a Globo gym and work in with a stranger.
so here's the thing. Here's the thing. So my wife has been going to the same YMCA for years, right? Even when she was just treadmill mom, like wasn't lifting anything, right? Just doing the thing. So there's a pretty good community there that like, you know what I mean? Like they all know each other because they've
Right.
all
They know each other. Sure.
right. And if a new person comes along, they sort of, you try to teach by example, like, hey, can I work in with you? Or if you see someone looking at you, you kind of off, hey, do you want to work in with me? But, we live in a city and there are some crazy fucking people and they take over, you know what I mean? And they do weird shit like gym culture stuff that I'm sure many of your listeners are used to, where they bring things like they may build
Dude,
their own circuit in a tiny area and that kind of shit.
fucking calm down is all I have to say about that. We had a guy so I've worked out at a lot of different gyms, and one of the coolest gyms that I've worked out at in recent years was actually a bouldering gym. So bouldering, I'm sure you live in a big city, so the hipsters are probably bouldering as we speak, right? So
Mhm.
that's a big deal. Is bouldering a thing where you live?
So bouldering is a thing for for the obstacle racers especially. Okay, it's what they
Yeah,
do, right? It's how you
yeah.
get good grip strength. Um, and there's been I'm not really in that community, but I did see a couple posts that were like, "This is naturally dangerous. If you want to come anyway, come because it's naturally a not safe activity."
I mean, that's neither here nor there. But there's sorry, so there are bouldering gyms, right? They're the filthiest places on the planet. No one is disinfecting those grips, those holds, right? It's just
That's what they were saying.
right. They should be closing. If any gym should be closing their doors, it should be bouldering gyms. But anyway, there's a couple different bouldering gyms here in Austin. One of them is called Austin Bouldering Project. Fantastic spot. Yeah, right. It's very hip, very with it. If I had like a pair of 70s jeans, I'd probably work out in those since that's you have to just have the look. Um, I'd roll the cuff. You get it. You're getting the picture. Anyway, so they had like a weight room. They had a weight room attached to it, which was beautiful. I mean, it's like 5,000 square feet, just decked out with like rogue equipment, weightlifting platforms, barbells, like nothing super high end, but definitely the basics of everything you would need to get a great workout in powerlifting racks, equipment, lots of weights. And so back before we moved further away, so I didn't have to work out there anymore, and also before it got overrun with a bunch of hipsters, my friends and I would train there all the time because it was right next door to our office. And there was this one guy who would take a trap bar, a trap bar like a hex bar. So he would take a hex bar, he would put 25s on it, so it's like baby weight, and then he would put it on one of the two specific weightlifting platforms where people like me and my friends would be needing it to do snatches and clean and jerks. The only place in the entire gym where it's safe for us to do that. And he would put his hex bar, his trap bar with 50 pounds loaded onto it, on it, and then go do like a 30-minute circuit where it would sit there unattended except for once every 8 minutes when he would come back and do like 5 jump squats with it or something. And anytime we tried to come over to like move it, he would be such a dick about it. He would just like run over and hey, I'm using this. It's like, you're using it? Really? Go jump into traffic instead of on this platform. How's that? How's that for using it?
Well,
So that's my rant about motherfuckers at Globo.
here's the thing. I am not a gym rat. I'm not even a gym guy. I barely spent any time. One of the times that I had issues and I couldn't run, I was rowing and doing a couple of things. I messed around a little bit. My wife gave me like a mini arm workout, a little mini
Yeah,
arm.
buddy.
arm circuit I was doing. And then I got one workout. Yancey Camp is a famous OCR workout guy, and I was doing a couple of those, and there was a farmer's carry involved. Okay, so I got a couple of plates, and I went upstairs. I know nothing about gym etiquette, but I knew I shouldn't be prancing around this tight area with my fucking things. I took it upstairs to the track thing, and there's some machines up there to do my little farmer's carry. So I'm saying I know nothing, and I know to be a smart person about it. You see what I'm saying? So my wife tells me
picking it up.
So my wife tells me these stories of these women or men, usually women, who do the equivalent of what you say, who set up their whole circuit, right? Not just one thing, but there's like 5 things, and they're like, no, I'm not done yet. And, they go and complain to the manager about it, and the manager can nicely explain to the person, it happens. But anyway, what would you say the percentage is of, like, in the boards or whatever, of the absolutely closed versus shaming all those people that are staying open? Like, where would you say it's at in the overall?
I'd say, I think there's so CrossFit affiliates in Europe have basically been mandated to get shut down by the governments there.
They're so dirty. They don't fucking even put deodorant on. That's why. Right?
God damn European bastards. Yeah, no. I think in those cases they have no option. They have to close their doors.
What about in America?
In the States, it's hard to tell, man. I mean, it really is hard to get a finger on it, because a lot of the gyms that I know it's like split. Like a third of them were very proactive, or just like, we're closing down before anybody tells us we have to close down, and here's our plan, here's how we're going to do it. Coaches are going to hold virtual office hours. Each coach is going to have a roster of members that they're going to be reaching out to on a daily basis. They're going to provide you with custom workouts. If you want to jump in on workouts together, here, like the hours that we're doing workouts all together on Zoom, so you can still get coached. Like, there's like cool little, a big part of it also for those gyms that are being forced to shut down is, like, they need to find a way to justify continuing to charge their clients, charge their members, because their costs aren't going down. So if they're shut down for a month or 2 months, that could very well bankrupt them right off the bat. I mean, gyms are not particularly high margin businesses. So,
well, bankrupt is a strong term.
I would not be surprised. I mean, listen, it's like any other small business, right? It's razor thin. So if there are going to be a lot of effects to, like, doors being closed. So they basically have to come up with the reasons why they can continue charging people. So whether it's like nutrition coaching, or, lending out the equipment, or whatever, writing workouts for their members and stuff, they need to come up with reasons. So, that's one camp. Another camp are just gyms that are trying to stay open and adjust, like the gym that we're members of. And then there are, the thing is, like, the only sort of like blasé responses I've seen to this whole thing, they've been pretty quickly shamed to shut the hell up about it. Like, they've been shamed by the community very, very quickly to just be like, you're not that hardcore, buddy. Maybe just chill out.
Right. Well, I think that some of that happened with the restaurant thing, right? Like, you will never shut me down, right? And then, like, the next day, city mandates, okay, sorry, but we're shut down. Hey, real quick, I want to do a quick thing since we talked about this. Would you like to know what the Men's Health Live workout is? I just looked to see who was live.
I would love to.
All right, see what they got going on. Oh, I got the headphones plugged in. Okay, why don't you describe what's happening? I'll hold it up.
Okay, here's what we're looking at here. We're looking at a guy doing a burpee to, like, a plate snatch to a plate thruster, another plate thruster to a plate squat. Okay, it says EMOM 16 minutes of 8 devil's press and 10 single arm thrusters. You're getting a phone call from your dad.
It's actually Men's Health UK.
Oh, good.
65 viewers. 65 viewers.
I love how the CrossFit thing is becoming so pervasive that even, like, Men's Health UK's workouts, they're like live workouts, are like CrossFit workouts. You know, they're not getting out there and telling people to do, bodybuilding circuits. They're telling people to get out there and do a CrossFit workout, like an
Now,
alternating
now
EMOM.
I don't know if they're being followed by bots, but all I see are thumbs and emojis. Oh wait, there's a real comment.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
real comment is "Ready, boys!" Exclamation point.
That's a different live stream.
Another thumbs up.
Are you gonna give them a thumbs up or what? What are you
No, I'm
doing
not.
here?
No, I'm not. I
Why?
do not. If I get on anybody's live stream that I don't know, have I told you this? It's so juvenile, but it's so amazing. Um, Especially if it's like some woman who's like, okay, guys, let's talk about, like any of those. I always just write very simply, spider on the wall. That's all I do. And they go, where? What? Okay, so you're as juvenile as me.
Dude,
You're
I'm stealing that. I'm
do
gonna
it.
use that.
Just not look, not hey up there, just spider on the wall, period. I'm telling you, it works almost all the time. And usually they get it after there wasn't one there, but sometimes they don't, and it's even funnier. And then I start saying to the left, you know what I mean? They're like, what the fuck? I can't believe you don't know this one.
No, I don't know this one.
Yeah,
For
spider on the wall.
me, the common one was I would go live, and maybe the settings in Instagram have changed, but I would go live and strangers would request to be a part of the live stream. Like
Right.
strangers. And so after a while, I declined it for a while, and then after a little while, I just started saying yes. Let's see what's
Right.
going on.
Right.
Are you pooping right now? Did you
Right.
accidentally press a button? Do you have
Right.
something to say? Let's see what's going on. And I would just start accepting it, and people were really shocked. I don't think they ever expected it. So yeah, it goes both directions. It goes both directions.
No, I think that's great. I've done it. I've randomly requested when I didn't know the people and just to see, and they've never done it. But I've done it. I've gone on live and said, hey, who wants to be a person? And they've done it. And then they're usually genuinely surprised. And most people are kind of fun. They're usually fans, so it's fun. Some people are really boring and they don't know it. You have to kind of tell them. But what's your IG follower count these days, Armen?
I don't know, it's 21,000,
All right, so
20,000 something.
But how many subs? How many subs on YouTube? You're killing me on YouTube, buddy.
I have 27,000-ish subscribers on YouTube.
Dude, I have 2.
It doesn't mean anything.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything on its own. But I know that it means if people are watching, and if people are watching, you can monetize. So it's not nothing. I mean, we know you're not a millionaire, Armen, but it's something. But yeah, this idea of the home trainer thing. I mean, listen, people are trying to do something. But there definitely is the term profiteering. Is like a hard word for people who are like, you think of people who are like triple charging for an AIDS vaccine, but it really is like, it's so like the subtle way that people do it of like, all right, well, I'm typically a really scummy salesperson anyway. So let me now be like, hey, when you really need someone to teach you how to podcast, COVID-19 special, you know what I mean? Like that kind of bullshit.
There's levels to it, right? There's the people who are being scummy and are just like, use code COVID-19 to get 19% off my 8-week to flat abs program, right? Those guys are fucks anyway, right? Those people are fuckers anyway. The worst version is the people who are like, oh, check it out, my fucking supplement company has been making immune helping supplements for the past 2 years, and now don't you wish that you had some? Here it is, buy it now on sale. It's like, bro, you're literally profiteering off of people's fear.
Wait, so are they selling forsythia?
I have no idea what the fuck they're selling. It's snake oil, whatever it is.
Have you seen Contagion?
No, I have not seen Contagion yet. I'm trying to stay away from the zeitgeist of the moment and not watching Outbreak or Contagion.
Don't watch Outbreak. I'm telling you, watch Contagion. I've said this on every podcast. Good? So first of all, okay, let me set the scenario for you. Okay, Matt Damon, Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, Lawrence Fishburne, fucking what's her name, English actress. You're talking about an amazing all-star cast, not in a stupid, holiday classic or bullshit. Here's 10 love stories with just a bunch of big names, so you'll go see it.
Hey man, Love Actually is amazing.
No,
Fuck off with that.
Love Actually set the tone. Love Actually is the standard. I'm
Okay,
talking
good.
about the 50 that came after it that are garbage.
Yeah. Okay. As long as we're on the same page here.
Yeah. And then it's Soderbergh. Okay. Do we need to say much more about that? And it's done in a like original way that he would do it. And then the 2020 implications are like, it's phenomenal how dead on it is. It's just so well done. It's not just, hey, everybody's seeing movies about outbreaks. I'm telling you, please watch it. But there is a character, this is not a spoiler. There is a character who is doing that. It's called Forsythia, and you can buy it, and of course, it doesn't heal you. Jude Law is that guy, is the scummy guy. It's so well done. I might watch it again, and I just watched it 2 nights ago. And it's not like ooh, be scared. It's just I can't say enough about it. I just can't say enough about it. What's the last movie you saw that you really loved, Armen?
We've been watching some good movies at the house recently. We watched Roadhouse last night.
Classic.
And it was the first time my wife or our friend Lainey had seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So they fell in love with Swayze just as I did when I was, a child and watched it for the first time. Mm-hmm. I will say I'm not sure if Contagion is gonna hit the rotation because, it could potentially up the anxiety level in the house.
I get that.
I mean,
I don't think my wife would watch it with me because she's like, dude, we're watching Homeland right now. Have you seen that?
No.
Okay. Homeland's amazing, but we'll watch like 3 in a row and you got to just stop. You're like, okay, just emotionally, you can't take it.
Like too stressful. Yeah.
It's not even stressful, just overall stressful, depressing. Like these characters are real in our lives. Carrie and Saul are very real in our lives for those fans out there. And I highly recommend that one. You were going to say something though about Contagion before I.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I don't. It's like the type of movie that I feel like I'd have to watch on my own. I just don't think it's something I can subject my wife and Lainey to because I feel like it might add to their stress levels.
Wait, who else lives in your house?
We have a friend of ours. So one of the reasons why I'm sequestering myself a bunch is because I travel a lot for work, and so Katie and I were supposed to be. We went to Montreal last weekend. I honestly don't even remember anymore. We went to Montreal at some point. I think it was last weekend. We went to Montreal last weekend for a work trip it ended up being an absolute disaster. I'll tell you about that in a second. But basically, while we were gone, our friend Lainey, who lives here in Austin, was staying at the house to watch the dogs. She has a dog, and so when she travels, we watch her dog. And this time when we were traveling, she was staying here with us or at the house to watch the dogs. And so she could go back to her apartment. It's not too far away, but it's cool to have like a third person around. And, she likes to work out and have a good time and stuff. And so she comes and goes as she pleases. And so she's hanging out with us. I think we've been sticking out at least the past few days together. So that's cool. Just a friend of ours hanging out. Yeah.
I like working out and having a good time. Can I come over?
Yeah. We don't have a spare room anymore, but you can sleep on the couch.
Okay.
The spare room is Lainey's room now.
All right. What happened in Montreal, my friend?
Dude, talk about event cancel and postponements and stuff. So the CrossFit world last year, you and I have talked about this a lot, but basically, quick primer. The CrossFit world used to be organized, the sport used to be organized like the Open was in February, regionals took place over 3 weekends in May, and then the games happened at the end of July or the beginning of August. And it was like a qualification period. Open goes to regionals goes to the games. All of that blew up in 2018, 2019. And now it's like the Open happens in October, November. Between November and July are these events called Sanctionals, where each one of them sends one person to the games, and then the games in August.
You may or may not have been responsible for the term Sanctionals. Proceed.
May or may not have been. Thank you very much. So,
Every
last
time I
year,
see it, I literally think that's Armen's made up word for these fucking things. But
I
anyway.
still get, I still get messages from CrossFit HQ about, hey man, by the way, this is trademarked, and it's like, I get it.
I thought
I've
you were
literally
off those.
never.
I thought you were off that list. I mean, I thought
I'm
they
like,
loved you.
I'm like, no, they do. We're tight. We're close. But I will never. I don't think I'm ever gonna put parentheses TM if I'm. It's just not gonna happen. Anyway. Plus, all my content is video and audio. So what am I gonna do? Say Sanctionals trademarked every time? It's just not gonna happen. So anyway, so last season, 2019, we had 15 sanctioned events. This year there were 28. So huge jump. I mean, it's basically one per weekend, all the way from beginning or mid-November through the first week of July. And I've been traveling to a bunch of them. I've been working with a bunch of the events, doing like commentary on their live streams and stuff like that. And we were up in Montreal we were up in Montreal last week. Things started getting crazy. There was an event that was supposed to take place in Shanghai in May. They postponed their event. There's an event that was supposed to take place in Italy in May. They postponed their event. And over the course of 24 hours, 8 other events postponed. So the schedule went from 1 or 2 every weekend to now there is not a scheduled one until June. And Atlas Games, which is the event that we were supposed to be covering in Montreal, was athletes in the building checking in, registering. The event is being set up, like equipment is being put up, the giant like 15-foot tall rig is being set up, the weights are being put out, the vendors are putting up their footprints, and then they get a call from the government saying, we can't allow you to have an event of more than 250 people. And it completely, I mean, it was awful. It was awful. It took them several hours to finally end up sort of being forced to shut it down, but they were coming up with like all these crazy creative solutions to try and get around it, and none of it panned out eventually. But it was brutal, dude. It was brutal. It was really brutal. So we were like on site with event organizers and athletes checking in and ready to go. and we had to basically tell them, hey guys, your event's postponed. Sorry, nothing we could do about it.
What types of creative solutions,
dude? So they were, so one
I
of the
think the
reasons
lights.
why,
I think the lights aren't on in this room. Hang on a second.
yeah, see if you can figure that out. Do you want me to keep talking?
Just wait 1 second, because the
Okay.
sun was out yesterday, and I realized, and I've been in the same room. That's the other great thing. Nobody needs this. Like, there's like you have to type it in somewhere to like reserve this room, but there's nobody fucking here. Doesn't make a difference, does it?
No, I don't see any difference. You just have such great natural lighting. I can see there's a big bank of windows right in front of you. Oh, the light's on now. Yeah, it makes no difference, man.
Go ahead.
Anyway, so I was saying, so one of the solutions that they had was, they had more than just the elite divisions, more than just the divisions that were going to go to the CrossFit Games. They had masters and teens, and so they were thinking, all right, well, first thing we can do is jettison those divisions, get rid of all the vendors, get rid of all the spectators, and only have the elite athletes and the broadcast crew. And even that was still too many, because you have to have your staff and you have to have your judges. So then they were like, okay, what if we split the entire competition out of the venue and moved it into local gyms? So you just move everybody into these local gyms. But then the problem they were running into was there was no guarantee that the rule wouldn't go from gatherings of more than 250 are banned to like what it is now, gatherings of more than 10 are banned, right? So there was no guarantee that they'd be able to even pull that off. And it would also kind of tarnish the competitive like integrity of the whole thing, right? So then they were like, okay, what if we just did a single day of competition devoted to each division? So it was only the divisions that were in the building at the time. eventually it didn't matter. Eventually it didn't matter because the venue that they were at is like a government owned sport facility, and the you know the city basically was like, guys, we're gonna shut you down. Like, you have no options here. There is no creative solution to this.
Monsieur Hammer, you can no longer be here.
That's exactly it.
Well, in our world, a lot of races moving to the fall, and even in the running and trail and triathlon world, like I'm on some endurance pages, and it's like, people are just picking fall dates, and then people are like, oh, well, some people are going to get shut out because there's only so many races. Is the mood we've already picked a September, October date, or is the mood like, fuck it, we don't know, we might just have to push till 2021?
Man, I think overall the mood is fuck it, we don't know, because it's rough. So there's a lot of different factors that are contributing to that. First off, when you see so many events postponed at the same time, and the end of the season is the games. The games are scheduled, and the games haven't moved, not yet at least. So assuming the games stay the same the first week of August, which is when the Olympics are supposed to take place, right? So it's around the same time. Assuming it stays the same, and you're not allowed to have any events in March, April, or May, that only leaves June and the first half of July. They don't allow events to happen within 2 weeks of the games, basically. So it leaves only a 6-week window to hold the entire back half of the season, because we weren't even halfway through the season yet. There was still another 15 events to go. And now 10 of them have been pushed, and they all have to take place within the 6-week window. And that's just the logistical problem of it happening with the games being scheduled when it is. Not to mention the logistical problem of actually recreating your event. So you have to make sure that there's an open weekend with the venue that you're at. You have to communicate that to your athletes. You have to get everyone to fly back out for it. You have to get, your volunteers to show up again for it. You have to get sponsors to put money up. And so, a lot of these events have lost tens of thousands of dollars just because they had to postpone once. There's no way they're going to be able to put on the same event as it was going to be. So there's a lot of issues. And then on top of that, if they can't reschedule before the games, they don't get to occur. It's not like you get to save it for next year and the event can go on for next year, and it becomes like, your event is for this season, and this is the season within which you are sanctioned to send someone to the CrossFit Games. So there's a lot of really, really messed up sort of levels to this thing.
Does your intel that you might have, or your feeling be with?
Are you going to ask me about the CrossFit Games?
Well, I'm just saying that they're in August, which is like, like borderline, right? Like, at least today, maybe by next week, it'll be like, definitely not. But at least for now, it's like people that have stuff in August are like, like October seems safe, but August is like,
Okay. Officially and sort of back channel communication is all lights are green right now. Like, they're not actively planning on changing anything. But with that said, you're right. It's in August. It's a few months from now, but who knows? Like, this thing is moving really quickly. It will absolutely get worse before it gets better. And the rules that are in place right now are, they're talking about 15 days of no gatherings of more than 10 people in the States. Well, like, all right, if that works, cool. But there's still gonna be rules in place. Maybe it extends to a month. If it extends to a month, it really changes the conversation about how can you justify bringing together 50,000 people in August. I think it's safe to assume that there is no sporting event that is scheduled for the next 5 months that is going to take place the same way it would have without coronavirus. So like that I think is safe to assume. I think it's safe to assume that at the very least, everything is going to be different. If it happens at all, it's going to be different. It's going to feel different. So what is different? Is that postponed? Is that no spectators? Is that the different type of competition at all? And I mean that in terms of like not just the games, but also something like the Olympics. Like I think it's pretty safe to assume the Olympics are going to be different than they were before because they have to be. So I don't know. It's rough. I will say this, based off of my communications with people who are involved in this at HQ. I mean, a big part of it is this understanding that like they can't really make a call right now. They can, but they're risking making sort of like being too early, like jumping the gun, because right now the events that we're talking about being postponed or at least affected runs through May. So if they jump the gun, they could very well like shoot themselves in the foot. It's not that everything's going to be okay in August. It's just that the picture of what things look like in August is very, very unclear. So they have to wait a little bit. Like they have to plan for contingencies, but they have to wait before they make a final decision.
I was looking to see if WWE had been canceled yet, because Vince doesn't give a fuck. So they've been have you seen it? They've been doing it in empty houses.
I saw one clip, but I couldn't watch the whole thing. It was Stone Cold Steve Austin in a completely empty arena.
Yeah, if anybody needs an audience, it's these guys, and they've been taping in empty houses. So I just looked up WrestleMania. They're going to do over 2 nights on the network. Some in that Orlando facility, some somewhere else, with Rob Gronkowski hosting, because Rob is so dynamic. Like Rob is a personality that you want like in the ring. Do you want Rob Gronkowski hosting the event?
He does not strike me as an orator.
He's not.
He's a smart guy, but I don't know if I would trust him to be the voice of an event.
I mean, they can put what's it called, IEB? They can put a thing in his ear and he can talk what they tell him. That's just such a weird choice. Like,
right.
And the WWE is like a big enough brand that they could get, I feel like, a name. Why don't they just have, or maybe that's part of it. Maybe he'll start out hosting, then they'll pull him into the ring, and then it'll be hosted by somebody else. Yeah, it's weird because I've thought of the people affected and stuff I hadn't thought about. So like, I got a friend who owns a couple restaurants who I met, I had him on my Atlanta podcast and I've become his friend, and I went to visit him and he's opening a spot. It's one thing to have something going and you're like, hey, our loyal people will hopefully order takeout, but he's opening a spot like was supposed to be this week. So that's really hard. You know what I mean? And he had, he's like most business owners, I'm sure, that are like, listen, I'll figure out a way to get by, but it's my people. I don't want to fucking lay off my people, especially in the restaurant industry, right? And so he's like, Matt, I'll figure out a way. Like, I'll fucking sell sandwiches on the sidewalk if I had to. You know what I mean? And like I'll do whatever. And then I thought about, if you're a millionaire, it's one thing. But if you're any kind of not millionaire, musician or comic, right? Now you've got no gigs, right? And that it's just like, it's weird just like to think how many people it affects. But it's the reason I feel like things will get back to normal sooner, and it'll probably mean more people getting sick, but we just can't, like, the world can't fucking shut down, dude. The economy will, right? They can't do it.
Yeah, the economy will completely collapse. I mean, we're basically already guaranteed a massive kick in the dick because of just these last few weeks. In the States, the stock market isn't a great representation of how the everyman is doing, but it is a marker for how the economy does. And basically we're back to where we were in like late 2015, early 2016. So we're talking about 4 years of the market very steadily improving, completely washed away over the course of like a week of uncertainty, so it's very hard to tell. If you look at sort of the underpinnings of our economy, there's opportunities here for a lot of people to make money. And, if you look back at like, I don't know if you think about this or other people listening to this think about this, but sometimes I think about like, man, if I knew in '08 what I know now, and I had a little bit of money, like I could have either started a business that would take advantage of how the trends were going after that, or invested in the right businesses as things were growing in whatever directions. And it's like, well, now you have that opportunity again,
Well,
because guess what? It's
right.
going to be something just like that.
Right. Smart people always invest when the market is low. Like it's a good idea, right? Uh, However, I don't have income to do that. Like I just don't. So
Yeah.
unfortunately, I'm not going to be buying a lot of stocks nor property.
I have a funny story about that. So a
Because that's
couple
not
years ago,
profiteering. That's not profiteering, by the way. Like that's just called
no,
smart. Buy things when they're low.
yeah, I'm so my the practical end of my behavior right now is what would, I guess, be referred to as like localism. It's exactly what you're describing with your behavior with like Dunkin' Donuts. You know those people. It's your local coffee shop. You want to support them, so you're buying coffee from them. So it's like I have a couple businesses around my house that I deal with on a regular basis, that I'm a member of. I'm part of their community. I talk to them. I know who they are. So it's like, yeah, if I need something, that's where I'm going to go, because they need me to support their business, right? And my expectation is that down the line, as I pay it forward, someone else pays it forward to me, that sort of thing, right?
Right.
But about investing in the stock market, right? So years ago, I opened a Robinhood account, right? If you don't know what Robinhood is, it's just like a no fees trading app for the stock market on your phone. And you get to put in cash. And I put like $100 in. This was like 2 years ago. I put in $100 into my account and I never invested it, not once. I didn't buy a single thing. I didn't buy a single thing, Matt. And so, not too long ago, let's say 3 weeks ago, all this shenanigans happens, and I was like, oh great, there's a downturn in the market. I'm gonna see if I can take advantage of this $100 that I have. And I'm gonna put it in here, and we're gonna crush this. My $100,
Right.
my $100, I don't know if you can see that, is
Right.
now $73.
Right.
And that's up, by the way. It was $64
Right.
yesterday.
But you understand what the stock market does over time?
Oh yes. Yes. So hopefully my $100 will be like $150 a couple of years from now, and then I'm fucking gold. I'm so in.
It goes up and down, but eventually up. It's higher than it was 15 years ago, 30 years ago, right? Like it's always up. I remember in my early 20s when they were like, dude, when is it going to get over 10K? Like seriously, that was a huge deal to the
Yeah.
market to be over 10. It's now at 20. I honestly didn't know how high it was until the news was out that like, oh my God, it's back down to 22. The right, because it was at
Yeah.
26. So I want to, if you're listening to me, if you're within the sound of my voice, which is, dare I say, thousands of people, if you didn't sell your stock, you're okay. If you sold your stock, you lost money. If you don't, you're okay. You didn't lose money unless you dumped your, be like, oh, my 401k lost so much money. It's like, unless you sold it, you didn't. Are you going to quit
Right.
working
Right.
tomorrow?
It's not a realized loss or gain. Yeah.
By the time you quit your job, I'm guessing it will have gone back up. Maybe it won't, but
Hope
I'm
so.
pretty sure by the time you retire in 10 years, it's going to go back up
The thing is,
considerably.
if, and this is something that I've been telling people who have asked me, to bring it back to the CrossFit Games. If we get to August, if we get to like July or August, and they're still canceling and postponing events like the games, like the Olympics, the fact is that we are all so fucked
Correct.
for so many other reasons than our favorite sporting events aren't happening.
Correct.
So, with that in mind, there's a way bigger picture of us being completely boned that doesn't have anything to do with just our favorite events not happening. So just to give a little perspective, maybe a bummer of a perspective, but a little perspective.
Listen, there's that meme going around. Your grandparents had to go off to fight wars, so the fact that you have to stay home for a couple weeks is not the biggest deal. So I can listen. I'm really grateful I can I can talk to you, right? This is my job, is to talk to you. Um, I can't do this forever, right? Like without more income, and nobody's probably buying any advertising this week, right? Um, unless maybe the guy who's selling Forsythia or the fake, you know what I mean? I'm not going to take that guy's money. But I think it's why, like, even an idiot like our current leader knows you can't close the grocery stores, or enough people around that guy are not going to let them close which would result in people going to the grocery store with shotguns. Like, that's what would happen. So there's enough people in charge, I believe, that aren't going to let that happen. So I'm not worried.
Yeah, we're not quite at the purge yet.
Right. But I mean, that's the thought that at one point, when it's like, wait, they're closing the restaurants, what's next? Right. And so there's like an hour or two, or maybe even a day of like, I said on another guest I had on, depending when this airs, like, I have medicine I take for my mental well-being, as does a large part of my family. And it's like, it did occur to me, like, well, shit, if I can't get my meds refilled, like, we're in trouble. Like, that's not good. You don't want me wild on the streets. So, but as I said, I believe, I mean, listen, uh, it's going to go how it's going to go. But I'm not fearing the worst, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason. At some point, it's like, are you prepared for what could be coming down the line to a reasonable extent, to your ability to sort of project out in the future? And hopefully the answer to that is yes. But should you be like doomsday prepping with, just a giant cache of ammunition and months and months of canned beans? Probably not. Probably not. Like, I don't think that we're gonna get there. I really don't think that's gonna be the thing. I don't think that's gonna be the thing, because the supply chains for food are still very much in play. Because guess what? Everybody has to eat.
Are you, for your content, since it won't be about events, are you just going to do more stuff like this, just more interviews and you and your three friends sitting around?
Yeah. So for me, it absolutely affects my bottom line, in the sense that I don't have events to cover, right? I don't have, there are maybe 3, 4, or 5 events that I was supposed to be at physically between now and the end of May, which I'm no longer traveling to. So that's money that I would, be making that I'm probably not going to be making. So it's kind of a kick in the pants to sort of push forward something that I've been trying to work on, which is, how do I completely turn this into like a remote show, right? My sense is, and my goal is, to kind of create a daily live show experience type thing. And so that's what I've been working towards, kind of, sort of, over the past few months. Now, it's like both pretty successful and also not super successful at the same time. But, I mean, I can't complain. Like, it's working in that direction. My goal over the next couple of weeks is to kind of try out this new, like, take what I've been doing live to the next level and start doing live interviews at the same time. So, I have a couple people lined up over the next week, and we'll see how it goes. I think it'll go off well. It'll kind of have this sort of Ariel Helwani kind of feel. There's one guy in the studio, there's one person calling in. The person calling in is usually some sort of hotshot in the space. For me, it'll be, event organizers, athletes, that sort of thing. And I think live content, people dig that sort of thing. People want to know what's going on. And then the second part of it for me is to also, another thing that I've been trying to work on is to, like, diversify the type of content that I make on a regular basis, because there's only so much you can talk about fitness anyway, and when there's no sanctioned events going on, what do you talk about? So there is a bunch of fitness things I can and love to talk about, but there's other things that I could probably be talking about and sharing with people as well. And then the question is, like, am I entertaining enough to carry on a piece of content that isn't directly related to the thing that most people know me for? I think the answer to that is yes, but I have to pick and choose my battles, right? Like as much as I as much as it seems like an opportunity, like I can't completely pivot to something different,
Why are you and
you
I
know?
not talking more?
I don't know, Matt. Why aren't we talking more?
I mean, you just described my life exactly.
In what sense? Wait, which part of what I said describes your life exactly?
I certainly need more to talk about than just obstacle racing, right?
Yeah.
Obstacle racing is a really niche sport, and there's value in being, an expert in a niche sport, as you and I both are. And I know that I can talk to, you know, a trail guy, an ultra guy, a bodybuilder. And so I always done that tangentially, but I would do myself and my audience a disservice if I tried to fake it. Right. You know what I mean? Like I can't like flip the switch or whatever. And so, yeah, how do I also have thoughts that like this thing actually does go away. Like it's possible. Like we know that OCR has been flat for years. It's not dropping off the map, but it's flat. And so, yeah, dude, I think about this all the time. I think you're clearly entertaining enough. People love live content. Here's my issue with live content. Um, my show already can just like go off the rails completely, right? So without a producer to feed me questions, I just get so distracted, and then I'm kind of more all over the place. Josh and I do a show that was inspired by your 5-minute show that Josh and I now do, which is an hour long. Remember, I told you we just talk about whatever, and you said, "Yeah, what a surprise! People want to talk about Star Wars and Game of Thrones just as much as they do fitness." And so when I have him on, he can kind of look at the questions because people love live, but then I don't know, they start tuning out. They get excited, then they tune out, and I don't know.
The thing is, here's the thing. Uh, Live works. Shows work. Like I grew up listening to talk radio because it's what my parents would listen to. Those like call-in talk radio works. Interview-based talk radio works. If it didn't work, there would be no podcasts. Doing it live just allows it to be more of like a participatory thing. And I don't even lean into that at all.
You don't
Like
take questions.
I no, I mean for my content, I actually prefer to do it live because it feels more like an occasion. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Armen's live, and someone will hop in and they'll stick around for 5 minutes or 20 minutes, and then they'll leave. And during that time, I will have given them a piece of information, and maybe at the end of the show, I'll go back and before I cut off the entire feed, I'll be like, all right, guys, let's see if anybody's had any comments or questions that are worth taking a look at. And I'll quickly scan the YouTube comments. And if there's anything in there, I'll answer it or go a little bit deeper into those topics. And then it's like, all right, cool. Thank you. See you guys tomorrow. Like the idea of doing a live show, one thing that I don't like doing is I won't do live interviews and then ask someone else's questions.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
No,
Like the
of
reason
course.
why someone's talking to me is because I'm the one who's talking to them,
Right.
not
But
because,
sometimes it triggers something I might forget once in a while. Like it's
of
not
course.
like, hey, what fucking shoe? Or it might trigger something. But again, it's just distracting me. Like I see it and then my mind is distracted by it. So I have to like close it off. But I really like what you're saying. And I don't know why I hadn't thought of that sooner. But yeah, like even if they only watch part of it, they've gotten some value and and now they've moved on to something else. When
Plus,
I'm
at the end
watching.
of the games, at the end of the season last year, I spent basically all the money I made last year to set my studio up to do live stuff. The entire point of this studio was to create like a live feel. All the lighting, the way the mics are built, the way my audio system is built. I mean, I have a computer that's only exists to live stream things. That's
Nice.
all it
So
does.
what app are you going to use?
So, the thing that I use to live stream is called Sling Studio. It's awesome.
I've heard
I
of
love
that.
it. It's a lot of fun. I can operate it on my own. It makes it very, obviously having someone else to help operate it would make things easier, but I can operate on my own and I like being a one-man show. So, lone wolf, what up? Um, but I can basically, I can use my computer as an input and that can be its own quote unquote camera. So I could have live streamed this entire conversation if you want to do that, like easy peasy. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about doing. You know, I already use it to record interviews when I have people over Zoom or Skype or whatever. So
So
other than
I'm
recording it, I
looking
can
at
just
this.
broadcast it.
So I'm looking at this thing. It's like a little tower. What am I looking at, buddy?
Yeah, it looks like this. I have it literally right here. It looks like this,
Right. It's got
right?
his little, okay. And
It's got
that film.
1,000 cables in it.
Okay. And it does, what does it do?
So it
Who is your
connects.
daddy and what does he
And
do?
what does he do? Who is your daddy and what does he do?
My
Have
kids,
you?
my kids watched that movie recently.
Good, good.
Was dying
Good.
laughing. Was dying
Of
laughing.
course. The bad
Amazing.
guy in that movie has the most 90s hair ever.
The
It's so
whole
terrible.
the whole outfit and tone of the movie is so late 80s, early 90s. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. It's not a tumor.
Not a
Yeah.
tumor.
So good. Okay, so how does this work? Okay, so basically this machine, this computer, that's exactly what it is. It's a computer. This computer basically will, if you want to, uh, uh, it'll produce a show for you, right? So it's kind of like an audio mixer and a splitter all in one, and it's wireless. So for example, let me show you. This is the thing I attach to my camera. So this goes on my camera. It's got a little BRP on it as well, obviously. Goes my camera. It connects via HDMI cable. So whatever my camera is looking at goes into the thing wirelessly, right?
Okay. Okay.
With it so far.
Okay.
And it can take various sources, right? You can preload videos on there. You can use, like I said, the laptop as its own source via HDMI cable. So it has a bunch of different sources. It can have its own audio connection, which is what I use. I use an external audio recorder as like an audio recorder, right? An interface. And so it takes all of those things and you can produce a show with it. You can go, okay, camera A, and then cut to camera B, and then you picture in picture, camera A in camera B, or you
But
can
if
go
you're
side by side.
but if you're live, how are you producing? How are you switching cameras and stuff if you're just
I
interviewing?
just do it at the same time. Yeah, I just do it at the same time. It all gets controlled via an iPad app.
But if you're talking to me, if I'm Brett Fikowski, right, and you're talking to me,
Yeah.
right, why do I need to? How are you going to be switching the angles? You're just going to look down
So
and switch the angles?
yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's one of those things that you just explain, like,
Is there anything on your channel now that I can view later and see as an example, whether this is something I should do or not?
So what I do is with interviews and stuff, I very rarely.
I mean, I saw your looking dope. Hey, everybody, I'm a YouTuber video, right? I saw that.
Which one was that? I don't remember.
It's called looking dope.
Oh yeah. What can I say?
You bought a drone for the weekend, I'm guessing?
No. That was all. I didn't shoot any of that footage.
That's not you?
I just edited it. No.
Whose footage is it?
That footage was provided to me by the event. So they're the ones who paid to have like $100,000 cameras out there shooting that sexy shit. And I just edited that into what I called a looking dope video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So no, I have no fancy camera equipment like that. I couldn't even come close to that. But if you want to see an example of what I'm talking about, if you go, I have an interview with an athlete named Emily Rolfe that I just posted last week. And that entire thing was shot using my Sling Studio as the controller. Now, that is an example of where there is no switching involved. Okay. I just set it to one screen where I was picture in picture and she was the main screen.
Right. So she's on her iPhone because it's I can tell on the screen cap the thumbnail here. So correct. Here's a quick question for you. In terms of, you've got great thumbnails on a lot of this stuff, very pro YouTuber, cool thumbnails, and I know this because it's something I need to do as well. Your like fonts are all over the place. why would Emily not get like your standard fun like, font that you do that kind of makes it look cool? Why would you not bother to
Uh,
make a screen grab for her?
that was a situation in which I just didn't have the time. Because so the reason why that came out the day it did is because it was a travel day for me. So there was a lot of stuff leading up to it, and then I just haven't been able to get back to it to make her a thumbnail.
Okay.
But you're right. You're 100% right. Like, the ideal is that every piece of content has a specific thumb and title that like draws people in. But it doesn't happen all the time, unfortunately.
It's not even that it's so great and pops and has some bullshit clickbait title, but just that they're uniform. That
Right.
I'm year 8 content making, and like I found a Canva thumbnail, which is Canva's free templates. I found a free one that I like, and I'm like, oh, why don't I just use the title I used for Heather's episode and swap out and put Aaron Newell's name on that and throw his picture up there. It's like, it's so basic, but I just never do it. I just like, I'm just always like being crazy and doing shit. So I've actually started to actually like do that. And what do you know? It does look prettier when you go to my page and the last 6 videos have a themed title. It's like, you know what I mean? I can't even do the fun, like big, fun stuff like you do. Just the name and the just the fucking name is good enough. It's weird, dude. Like we talked about this before, like OCR still, like my Facebook views are just so much more than YouTube, even though YouTube is like the engine to like actually make money and actually be found. So I still just like what I've been doing, just throwing this out there to you. What I've been doing is I'll talk to you. I can instantly just upload this to Facebook Live, right? Not live, but instantly put it up to Facebook, no editing whatsoever, and start a watch party, right? Or you actually set it to premiere, and then people are commenting, and it's a little community gathering. And then I can edit the podcast, put that out 2 days later, or even the same day, and then throw it on YouTube for search purposes. That's kind of been my thing, if I remember and if I have time. And now that people are home, you can pretty much post a Facebook video anytime. It used to be like, oh, let's have it premiere at 7 p.m. But people love that. People love, like, even if it's not live, it takes people a while to figure that out because they think it is, because they see the comments. Right. And then someone's like, you just asked a question. He's not there.
Yeah.
But it's fun. People do seem to like it. I actually typed comments off when you were on the other day, but you didn't see it or read it. I was hoping you did.
I missed it. I missed that. I really sometimes have. So I have my laptop in front of me. My setup is it's janky. My wife, it drives her crazy, like the way my office is set up, but it's my office. It doesn't matter. You gotta be careful there, dude. You might have that COVID. You gotta be real careful.
That was the first one.
So, oh no. Oh no.
What if this is the start?
People are gonna see you not covering your mouth for that cough. What the hell?
I'm in a closed room. Look, I'm in a closed room. There's nobody in here. I'm in like a little thing.
The next person who comes in there is gonna be like, it smells like coronavirus in here. Anyway, so what I'm saying is like my setup is it drives my wife crazy because she likes things organized a little bit differently than I do, and I just like it to be functional and make sense, and that's how I have it. So it's very slovenly.
She gets no vote about what your office looks like. It's your office.
No, she doesn't. She does not get a vote, but she definitely has a say. You know what I mean? She has a voice, but she does not have an effect on the outcome. So she expresses her opinion, but it does not affect the way things look. Anyway, My point is I have my laptop directly set up in front of me and my camera is right behind it. So while I'm doing my live shows, I can like look at what I'm referencing. Because a lot of times it's like picture in picture, I'll be in the bottom corner.
Right. I've watched you read things to me, and boy, is that enthralling. Please do more videos of you reading things to me.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yes.
You're so unbelievably off with that. That shit slaps, as youth would say these days. It slaps. That's good content right there, man.
When I'm recapping information for people, I give them some highlights. I thought about that. I've seen you do it, and I thought about doing that, like, hey, let's read this together thing. But I can't get behind it.
Anyway, the point I was trying to make is that because my laptop is directly
in front of me, people have said to you, thank you so much for reading that to me because I couldn't read it.
It's not that people can't read it. It's that, one, my voice is incredible. right?
That's
So
true.
that's one.
Definitely true.
Two, two, me reading it gives people context that they did not have before. So like pointing out, so I'm not going to read like a long form article, but if it's like 3 paragraphs and I
I've seen
want
you
to
read a
talk
lot of
about,
stuff.
yeah, I read a lot of stuff, but if like, so for example, there was like this men's health article about CrossFit going after senior citizens, but it was like 4,000 words or something, like five. It was like long. It was like a long thing. And I only read, I mean, I talked about it for about an hour, but I talked about various segments of it. And I only read a couple sentences at a time to try and give context to what I was talking about. So
I
with the
actually,
long pieces, that's what I do.
maybe I'll give it a try. Maybe my patience is too thin.
But
Um,
like,
so,
CrossFit sent an email to all the affiliates not too long ago, and it was like 3 paragraphs. So I read the whole thing. Whatever.
so that's what you use. That's when I watch you scrolling an article. That's what you're using. You're using Sling.
Everything, yep, all the content that you've seen me put out over the past like couple weeks, almost all of it has been produced directly through the Sling.
Is there one I can buy for less than $999?
No, no, there is not.
Got to pay for the goods.
You got to pay for the goods. So
Yeah, and
that's
I'm
what I mean when I spent like all my money
no,
basically
dude.
buying and
I
setting up
get
the
it. Listen,
studio.
you've gotta. Um, I get it. You've gotta listen. I know you gotta pay good money to get good stuff. Just sometimes, sometimes there's like, like with GoPros, right? Like the GoPro like latest version black is awesome, but the version behind that is still great. 3 versions ago, you look like an amateur, but like there's somewhere in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I was just
Let
saying.
me let me make a suggestion. Let me
Yes.
make a suggestion. Do you know what Lens Rentals is?
Lens rentals. No.
Yeah. So Lens Rentals is, and there are plenty of other companies that do this, but it's basically a company that does rentals for professional or semi-professional photo and video equipment. No matter what you need, whatever camera body it is, whatever lenses, whatever lighting, whatever audio equipment, drones, you name it, they have it for rental. You can rent a full Sling Studio setup, like basically what you would be buying for $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000, whatever the price is when like the bundles. You can rent the whole thing, and for a week it's like $100. So you can have it for a week, and that's what I did. Before I bought this thing, before I invested in this entire thing and spent thousands and thousands of dollars on this entire thing, I rented it. I rented it. I tried it out. It cost me maybe $125 to rent it. I did a couple pieces of content with it, and I was like, all right, I think I can build my entire library around what this machine can do. And that was the investment that I made at the end of last year, or really it was like at the end of last season.
I think that's very wise, my friend.
And for me, it does a couple things. Like it keeps me out of the edit, which I love editing, but it takes me too much time. And for me, the quantity, like being able to regularly put out content every day or 5 or 6 days a week, is very important to me. So with this, I can come up with a topic and be live that night and talk for 20 minutes to an hour and have like an hour-long show basically every day.
Dude, I put out an episode every day last week. It felt so good. I didn't start the week that way. Typically, it's like 2 episodes a week. And one is the show I do with Josh, and then like a lot of times lately 3. But I put out one Monday and Tuesday, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put up one every day this week. I've got the content, right? And if not, I can, just today, just messaging people like you and a half dozen other people. I actually posted to my audience, who do you want me to talk to? It's giving me a couple good ideas. I might do that this week too. Well, actually, I can't this week because I've already missed a day, but maybe next week I'll do it every day. It feels good.
Dude, in calendar year 2019, I averaged almost 6 pieces of content a week.
That's really good. But I'm also
And
a website with a lot of blog content. So I
yeah, you probably hit that with like between the written content and like the audio content and video content. But for me, I'm like exclusively video content with some audio on the side.
right.
So, it was a lot of work, and I'd like to keep doing that. And the best way that I can keep doing that and still have, sort of some sort of progression in the type of content I'm doing is by doing it live. So,
Well, listen, man, I'm glad we caught up. These are wacky times we are in. And tell people where to find Armen Hammer.
it's Armen Hammer TV, ARMEN Hammer TV, all one word. Everywhere you look, it's just Armen Hammer TV. I've got a whole bunch of different platforms, I guess. I have I have a YouTube channel. That's probably the main one. I have an Instagram account. I have a Discord channel. That's a lot of fun. Got a bunch of people in there, a couple hundred people in there talking.
Hang on, hang
Um,
on, hang on. Send me the link to the Discord. We started an OCR one. My buddy Josh started one, and now it's popping.
yeah,
Um,
ours is slowed down a little bit over the past couple weeks. I think because of all the sanction events being canceled, people are like, "What the hell do we talk about?" So it kind of has slowed down, but it's still there. It's still nice and active, which is good. I'll send it to you. Yeah. So I mean, I do a bunch of stuff. Like I've been doing a weekly newsletter as well this year. Have not missed a week yet, and it has basically nothing to do with fitness, which is awesome. I basically talk about whatever I want, whatever's on my mind. Like one week it was about the history of molten lava chocolate cakes,
awesome.
which is really fascinating. Lots of cool stuff there. But anyway, I have a lot of different things. The best way to follow me is probably on YouTube or Instagram, though. Armen Hammer TV.
All right, let's do a quick screenshot. I do a nice pause there because that's where I'm going to cut it later, like a pro. I've learned to
Love it.
like a boss. I've learned to like just wait a second because then it's easier to pause. All right, make sure we get the stupid. What do you call it in there?
Do I look good?
Nope. But you don't want to do the gay point, do you?
I mean, you tell me. You tell me. What do I look like? What do I do?
Let's both make a really long sad face. That's not like long. let me stop recording.
I don't know what my